Hello and welcome to Astrology Breakdown with My Psychic Connection. I'm Squirrel, and if you're wondering why Journey isn't with me, don't worry. He'll be joining me a little later to discuss what's going on tonight because we're going to be doing something special. Now, some of you know every month we do the astrology of mythology for each of the sun signs. And today I'm going to tell you the story of Scorpio, where it came from, what it means, and all that good stuff. And then Journey will be hopping on with me to answer any questions you have about the story, any questions you have about Scorpio, or any questions you have. All right. So, I'm going to start by telling you about the constellation of Scorpio. It is one of the brightest constellations in the night sky, and the name is Latin for scorpion, or literally translated as creature with the burning sting, which I think is cool. Okay, keep that in mind. Now, Scorpius is the eighth constellation in the zodiac belt, and it was first cataloged by the Greek astronomer Ptolemy in the 2nd century. First catalog, which means the first written record of it. Now, Scorpius predates the Greeks and is one of the oldest constellations known. The Sumerians called it Gir Tab, or the Scorpion, about 5,000 years ago. In Greek mythology, okay, because every story I tell about the astrology of mythology is the Greek version of it from when it was first recorded. So the story of Scorpio starts with the story of a young man named Orion. And I have to tell you about him so you can fully understand Scorpio. Okay? So Orion, which is a constellation in and of itself, is mentioned in the oldest surviving works of Greek literature. Let me rephrase that in English. It is one of the oldest surviving works of Greek literature from the 7th or 8th century BC. They're not sure which with the dating. Now, it was first told in full by Hesiod in Astronomia, though most of the work of Astronomia is lost. And the reason we know that Orion's full story was told is because we have many references through later writings on this legend of a book. A lot of writers afterward who had read the book mentioned it in their own books. It was a phenomenal book. He is also mentioned in Homer's Iliad and in the Odyssey, and several other minor poems from that time period. So let's dive right in. Orion was a giant of a man, not technically one of the giants like fee, fi, fo, fum, but just an enormous man. He stood head and shoulders above everybody else. And by all accounts, he was the greatest hunter who ever lived. Now, he was the daughter, or the, as you were, I'm awake. He was the son of a woman named Euryale, who was the daughter of King Minos of Crete. And his father was Poseidon, the god of the ocean. And as a gift from his father, Orion had the ability to walk on water. Now, most of the stories about him don't really factor that in, but the story of Scorpio does. So that's really important. Now, he was also said to be the most handsome man alive. And you guys know that when we're talking about demigods or humans in Greek mythology, if they're mentioned, they're all said to be the most handsome man or the most beautiful woman in the world. So take that as you will. But Orion was devastatingly good looking. He was permanently armed with his unbreakable bronze club that could just bust anything, and the great bow that was so big nobody else could draw it. And his anything he hunted was never able to escape his wit. He had he was like really intelligent. Um, or his strength. He could kill anything he was after. So any beast that roamed the earth could not withstand him. It was just, he was unbeatable. So, with this famed ability to defeat the mightiest of beasts, Orion soon began to travel through the land, ridding towns and villages of the nastiest critters that were trying to eat people. And he grew quite a reputation. Time and time again, he hunted down all kinds of unimaginable creatures, hydras, um, uh, I can't remember chimeras, the things that are part lion, part scorpion, part whatever the hell that is. And he just totally destroyed any monster that come his way. He became a legendary hero and he began to get noticed. Now, the first thing that noticed him was something called the Pleiades. What's the Pleiades? The Pleiades, and there is a story about them, they were the seven daughters of the Titan at Atlas. They were nymphs. Atlas had an affair with a beautiful water nymph, and the Pleiades were born. They were, what do you call that? Seven tuplets? But they were absolutely beautiful, charming, funny, and they were sought after by a lot of men. But when Orion saw them, he instantly, oh my God, I've got to have at least one of these girls, possibly all of them. And he pursued them relentlessly. So, one of Orion's most important characteristics through all the stories was his lustfulness. Mind you, he had a lot of lovers. He fathered over 50 sons by as many nymphs. He had a thing for those nymphs. And they're not human. They are water creatures or sky creatures. They're not of this world. But man, he had a thing for them. And he saw these seven sisters. He's like, I'm going for that. He pursued them relentlessly, and they did not want anything to do with any man. They were pure, they were chaste, they had each other, they didn't need no man. So they just rejected his advances again and again and again. Like, no, we don't want anything to do with you. But he started to get a little aggressive with it, and the Pleiades got afraid. They became afraid, and they went to Zeus and they were like, "This dude, man, all he does is hound after us. He's got about 50 kids. We do not want anything to do with him. Please protect us." They were actually afraid. So even though he was a legendary hero, he was a bit of a horn dog and an aggressive one at that. So, in order to protect the Pleiades, Zeus turned them into doves. It didn't matter to Orion. He's like, I can still catch them. I am going to take them. That, and by now, he was like all bars off. He was just going to have him one of these Pleiades. And Zeus saw this, is like, oh no, you're not touching them. And Zeus placed them in the sky as stars so they could be together and that they could be safe. Now, Orion was a little annoyed at this and he got real mopey. He's still a young man at this time. And he just moped around for about, I don't know, 2 months or so, longer than he was truly obsessed with the Pleiades. And he got up and brushed himself off, done moping, and he went out hunting. Hunting always made him feel better. He was the greatest hunter ever to live. greatest mortal hunter. So he went hunting, and it was just too easy. It felt like he didn't have any challenge. So he thought about it. It's like every time I look at a critter, it just falls over dead. It's like, what are we going to do here? So he went to the underworld. And that's where he comes in on the Odyssey. Odysseus sees him in the underworld beating things with his great bronze club. So he went into the underworld, and everybody gave him up for dead. He was never coming back. That was the end of Orion, or so everybody thought. For about 4 months, nobody heard a word about the hunter, and they began to just give up on him. About 4 months after that, so he was in the underworld for a good 8 months. He came bursting out of the underbelly of the earth, covered in blood, covered in wounds and scars. And there is no record saying what those adventures are, but he had rid the underworld of a great many vicious, dark beasts. And so his legend just blew up, grew, and it got the attention of Artemis, who was the goddess of the hunt. So Artemis started listening to the stories. Okay, wow, he did that. Wow. And she usually got a little fussy if anybody was better than her at hunting, because, like, come on, she was the goddess of the hunt. But with Orion, she became fascinated, and she started really watching him, every move he made, and she fell in love with him. She loved the lustfulness, she loved the larger than life, she loved his prowess as a hunter, and she thought that might be an equal for me. So she was like, I'll take this slow. I want to go meet Orion. And she came before him. And he was like, whoa, ain't no God ever talked to me besides my father, Poseidon. So he was impressed, and they slowly became friends. And the more she got to know him, the more Artemis fell in love with him. He was charming, he was handsome, and aside from being a bit of a horn dog from time to time, he was very loyal, and he was very easy company for her. Now, her brother Apollo, the sun god, and this really surprised me because Apollo is usually shown as just a happy, joyful, friendly god. Well, wow, he got jealous. And I mean, I want to claw this man's eyes out. How dare my sister stoop so low to fall in love with a puny mortal? Because even though his father was a god, he was still part mortal. So Apollo started getting really pissed off that Athena was Artemis. As you were, I'm getting my Greek and my Roman gods mixed up. Artemis was really smitten by this human. And Apollo started to look for ways to get in between them. He'd invite himself on their outings. He would make up drama to keep Artemis from being able to go out on a date with Orion. Just anything he could do, until Artemis invited Orion to hunt with her. And that really tipped Apollo over the edge, because Artemis only ever invited her equals, very few and far between, to hunt with her. And Apollo was mainly the one she asked to hunt with her. And not only did Artemis ask Orion to hunt with her, she invited Apollo's mother and Artemis's mother, Leto, to hunt. So Leto could meet Orion and give approval to Artemis to be with him. Ooh, ow, Apollo was mad. Now, somehow Apollo got himself invited to the hunt, even though Artemis knew that he was trying to get in between her and Orion. It's her brother. She loves him. She was like, fine. And she knew that Apollo was going to try to out hunt Orion, just to show him what a puny mortal he was. But man, that day That hunt, Orion was on fire. Man, he shot his bow, he banged his club, he killed just about every animal they were after. And it was a great hunt, almost akin to the wild hunt of the Fae, only just to animals. And he outhunted Artemis herself. And he was so excited, so proud that he yelled out, I am the greatest hunter who ever lived. I can kill any animal on earth. And Apollo said, ha ha, I got you now. So while Artemis and Leto and Orion were celebrating such a beautiful hunt, Apollo went to Gaia, Mother Earth, mother of all animals, and he twisted Orion's words around. He told Gaia, Orion said he will hunt and kill every animal on Earth. Whoa! Gaia, I don't think so. She got very upset. And she sat down and she thought about it. What can I do to stop this little brat from killing all my creatures? I will destroy him. And she thought for a day or two, and she started creating. And she created the most terrifying creature ever to grace Gaia's body, Earth. It was a scorpion, the first scorpion ever made, and it was enormous, bigger than a house. And it had armor so thick that nothing could touch it. And it had mandibles that could just crush a man in half, not even crush, slice. And that tail full of poison that could kill 1,000 men with one sting. Just ridiculous poison. She named it Scorpius. She did. That was its name. That's why it's called Scorpion. Didn't even give it a name. Didn't give it any affection. Didn't give it anything except one single brutal purpose: kill Orion. So she let Scorpius go, and Scorpius was slow. But man, he was determined. He did not veer to eat. He did not veer to drink. He focused completely on Orion and knew, like he had like radar in his head, where is Orion? Went straight to Orion. Orion saw this giant ass scorpion coming at him and jumped up and grabbed his bow and his club. And he was like, oh, hell, I got to kill this. And he ran at the scorpion. He was going to prove himself and he knew he could kill it. And he hit that thing so hard with his club, it would have disintegrated any other animal, but it didn't even dent Scorpio's armor. The Scorpio grabbed at him, missed, and got a tree because Orion was also very fast. And Orion watched those pincers just cut that tree, crushed that tree. There was no tree left. And he said, oh, shit. I don't think I can kill this thing. And Orion started running. Now, the only thing that Orion had going for him in this part of the story is that Orion could walk on water. So he ran as fast as he could to the ocean, and Scorpio lumbered along behind. I'm just totally focused. I am going to kill Orion. I am going to kill Orion. And Orion ran straight to the ocean. Remember, he was pretty daggone smart. So gets to the edge of the ocean, runs across the water. Scorpio couldn't follow. Scorpio could not swim. So Orion ran all the way to the next island. And remember, he's human. Humans only run so long. And he collapsed on the island, couldn't breathe, was just exhausted. And he's like, I'm safe now. That scorpion is not going to get me. But that scorpion had a single purpose, and it found a way to get across the ocean whether it floated on wood, whether it snuck onto a ship, although I don't know how a scorpion that big could sneak anywhere. They never really do say. But he got to that island. Boom, boom, boom. And Orion saw that tail come up over the horizon, and he started running again. Orion ran for months, and he would always outpace the scorpion until finally, exhausted, worn down, his human form giving out because he couldn't run any longer, he waited and he tried to gather his strength. And he said, by God, if that thing's going to kill me, I'm going to kill it too. And he waited. And here came Scorpio. Boom, boom, boom. Raised its tail. And Orion picked up his club to just fight back. Right through Orion's chest. And Scorpio raised him up to face level, to look him in the eye. I got you. I got you. I finally got you. And Orion slammed him in the eye with his club, with his dying breath. He was not going down without a fight. And Scorpio disintegrated, not from Orion's blow, but because he had served his purpose. He was done on this earth. The only thing left of that scorpion was the giant stinger through Orion's chest. Gone. Now Artemis, she was destroyed. She was truly in love with Orion. And she searched and searched for him. And she finally found him dead on the beach. Scorpio's stinger still in his chest. And she picked him up and she kissed him. She touched his hair and she said, I can't be without you. So she pulled the essence of his soul out of his body and raised him up into the stars. And she must have had some hell of a sense of humor, because she placed him right behind the Pleiades, those nymphs that he had been chasing, so he wouldn't be bored up there. Now, Taurus, this constellation of Taurus, is in between the Pleiades and Orion, so that Orion can never catch them, and they are always running from him. But she didn't want him to be bored, but she also wanted to make sure that he didn't catch one of them, because she loved him. She truly, truly loved him. And Gaia saw this, and Gaia said, oh, hell no. He is not going to live forever in the sky being loved by Artemis and having fun chasing those Pleiades. And she took the essence of Scorpio, what was left in those ashes, and she placed it in the sky so that it would forever, for all eternity, hunt Orion. And it was only Zeus's intervention that saved an eternal battle in the sky. Zeus was like, what the hell? What is wrong with you people? And he took Scorpio and placed him 180 degrees away. And that is why when you see Orion in the sky, Scorpio's nowhere in sight. But the minute Scorpio comes up the horizon, Orion runs. He goes down the other side in eternal flight, chasing the Pleiades and running from Scorpio. And that is the story of Scorpio. Pretty brutal, huh?
Do you know how hard it was when you said Orion for me to go, yes, dear? It took everything in my power not to do that.
My oldest son's name is Ryan, and I named him after Orion because it was the main constellation I was familiar with in that period of my life, and I loved Orion. But when I heard the entire story, I was like, "Oh, I've doomed my child." Energy says, "You are the best storyteller ever. Thank you." She said, "You brought the story of Orion and Scorpios to life for me." And thank you. And Cassidy says, "Game of telephone gone wrong," right? Like the vengefulness. Gaia is super vengeful, y'all. A lot of the gods are. And for Apollo to be vengeful like that hurt my feelings. 180 degrees away. Oh my goodness. Yeah, he's Taurus, or wait, Scorpio. With Orion being right next to Taurus, that does make it an opposition. And she says, wow. And Allison, thank you, Allison says that's a good story. I wish I didn't miss the beginning. You can go back and see the beginning. These are being recorded. And Cassidy says that was epic, Squirrel. No one tells a story like you. Thank you. Thank
And
you.
for those of you who like to hear stories, you guys can hear this story right here on Audible. So if you ever want to hear all of the stories of all the zodiacs, you guys can go to Audible, look up My Psychic Connection. Not only can you hear these stories, but you can hear all the shows that we've had going on for years.
That's so cool.
Years.
Yeah.
There's like I do believe we are probably I believe we're up to like 800 episodes of different content. So there's
Wow.
yes.
Wow. That's my brain is going. And Allison says, I agree. You're a very good storyteller. Thank you, guys. E. Brown says, squirrel. Hey, 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 Brown.
Mhm.
So, and Energy says, and Scorpio and Taurus are in opposition in the sky this Saturday and Sunday. Yes, yes, and yes, with that
Dun, dun, dun.
full moon going on. So Orion will be up right by Taurus, running from that Scorpio big time.
So you were in the beginning of the story. You were talking about you didn't know what to call the seven centuplets or whatever you want to call them, seven tuplets or whatever they're called. But it's funny, is because my mother and her sisters are seven girls.
Like the Pleiades.
There's seven girls. My mother's a Scorpio. Three of the sisters are Scorpios, and the mother's a Scorpio. That's four
Oh,
out of
wow. And
seven that are Scorpios.
they're probably wishing that daggone Scorpio would catch this dude by now because he's still chasing. And you know what's cool about the Pleiades? I have to throw a nerd note in there.
Mhm.
Um, in every culture, including, Chinese, Native American cultures that didn't have any kind of uh, even the Sumerians before the Greeks, they didn't have any contact. Every single culture, the Pleiades, the stars constellation, are seven sisters. And Energy says, look out. Septuplets.
Set
Thank
templates,
you.
yes.
It's like,
But the
if it
thing,
was eight, it would have been easy. I'd have said octuplets. I might have been making up a new word, but still. But
but the energy that it took to create the scorpion and the the rage that it was built with is why that Scorpio sting is so poisonous.
oh God. And what does it say that Scorpio's role in his own story only comes at the end of the story and for such a short amount of time? The
Mm-hmm.
sole purpose, that focus and intensity is big. And Cassidy says, wow, that's fascinating. Now, brutal as the story is, there is a lot of conjecture that Scorpio is also seen as the eagle or the phoenix, but I could not find anything to
Mythology.
support that
Yeah.
fact. Yeah, no mythology at all. The only thing they could say was it was Zeus's eagle, but that was an eagle controlled by Zeus. I don't think a Scorpio could be controlled by anything but Gaia. Energy says explains the quiet but intense revenge that Scorpio energy can bring, right?
Absolutely.
And that single mindedness. Yeah.
The
Yeah.
Scorpios are really strong about their lovers too. And that can be very healthy for them, or it can be very toxic for them, depending on how their partner reacts to them. Because that
This is,
sting, that vicious sting, will be taken out on other people and not the person that they're originally mad at, which would be their partner.
yeah.
Seen it play out many, many times.
Yeah. And I think a lot of that comes from the such singular focus and I love you that in an unhealthy Scorpio there's an inability to see that partner for who they are and how they treat them.
Right.
They
Sometimes they
can't
let their
see.
heart blind them. Love is blind.
It is a water sign and it is deep, deep, deep water. Allison Let says, what are some personality traits of Scorpio? Great question. Um, the most prominent ones being focus and intensity. If you've talked or spoken to a Scorpio, it always feels like you are the only person in the room with them. Very attentive, very loving, but also very they need some space for privacy. Of all the signs, like all the signs need to recharge by themselves to some degree, but
Mm-hmm.
Scorpio, I think, needs it the most. Yeah. And secrecy. They make
Oh, I
great
was about to
FBI
say that
agents.
just now. I was fixing to say this secrecy. A Scorpio will never show you their cards. They will not tell you their plan. They keep that to themselves. As a matter of fact, the only time I've ever seen Scorpio share anything is with another Scorpio because they will keep the secret.
Or they will keep a secret. They will take a secret to their
Oh yeah.
graves with them. Even if they're mad at you, they have a sense of honor. They've got that vengeful thing, but they will keep a secret. The only time I've seen a Scorpio tell secrets that wasn't with another Scorpio, though, is if they have some strategically and horribly placed Sagittarius or Gemini in their charts, especially if it's Sagittarius or Gemini Mercury, because they're blah, 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 and then they speak and they give away all their secrets without even intending to, and then they cringe and beat themselves up for it. I think that's the most brutal placement is a poor Scorpio, secretive. This is why, even if they don't have to be secretive about something, they like their secrets. But then having that Sagittarius or Gemini, blah, 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 blah.
I just want to say this too because Scorpio is a water sign, and when you think water sign, you don't think of Scorpio. You wouldn't assume. You would think it was an earth sign or a fire sign or something to that nature, just because it's not a water dwelling creature. Um, but all of the water signs all have a shell of some kind. The
Yes.
Cancer has a shell. The Scorpio has a shell, and Pisces doesn't have a shell, but it has scales. Has
Scales. It does have
many. It
scales.
has many little shields.
Yeah. That's a never thought of it that way. I like that. It does.
That
It
has
does.
many shields. It just depends on which part of its shielding it needs to use. Like I've seen Pisces shield themselves from certain parts of a situation, but they will still accept other parts of the situation. But as,
Yeah.
let's say a Cancer or a Scorpio, if you've pissed them off, you're not getting through. That's nothing of what you said. You might as just wait until they calm down before you try to communicate with them because you're not getting shit through.
And Scorpio, pure Scorpio can hold a grudge
Oh yeah.
for 378 years. Allison says, you are spot on. I'm so mad at somebody right now, and I will take all his secrets to my grave. I will never betray him. Very strong. Scorpio is extremely loyal. Says, who is the best match romantically for Scorpio? What zodiac sign? That's actually a good question. Typically, the books will say Scorpio is best matched to an earth sign or a water sign, generally Virgo, because Virgo will bring them out. However, I'm a person who believes in opposition, like
Mm-hmm.
Scorpio to Taurus, even though there are
Yes.
challenges there. Say again?
I was thinking the same thing. Taurus.
Taurus, even though they're both fixed and they'd be stubborn as hell, and you ever never want to see a fight between a Scorpio and a Taurus, they both have that strong, strong loyalty. And oppositions bring challenges that bring out the best in us if we let it. It's like the challenge, like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. And the other one saying, just try it, until finally one gives in and tries it and says, oh, wow, this is actually good for me, or this is actually fun, or, well, why didn't I do this before? That challenge is there to bring out the best. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Energy said, love that. Pisces with mini shields. And not only the mini shields, but the ability. Pisces is the great escape artist. Pisces
Yes.
can escape anything, even just in their minds. Energy says, I have Mars in Scorpio. I definitely holds grudges when my heart is hurt. We do have that in common. Yes, yes.
That's also a
As
Leo trait.
I I actually, I don't know if it's my Leo sun or it's probably my Gemini moon. I want to hold grudges, but I can't. Allison says, I was with a Virgo, loved him very much, but then he ghosted me, so we're not together anymore. But I feel that he was my soulmate. Virgo to Scorpio can be very good. It can also be very unhealthy. And Virgo's mutability is really hard on a Scorpio. Scorpio does like routine, or routine is a bad way to put it, things to be consistent. Doesn't like a whole lot of change. Even good change can stress the hell out of a Scorpio. And Virgos are, all over the place. Ping, 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 ping.
Hmm.
So
And
it
Scorpios
it
are
can be draining.
fast. They are fast. When it comes to love,
Scorpios,
hmm they're
oh,
fast. They
yes, yes, they are.
that deep emotion, just like the deep creatures of the ocean here. They love fast and they love hard.
And Scorpio, okay, mine went to the gutter, but Scorpio is considered one of the most sexual signs. It is associated with with sex, death, and taxes.
And the other one right up that's right up there with the being a sexual being is a Taurus.
Yeah, yes, yes, on the complete opposition,
Hmm.
where Scorpio is sexuality, Taurus is sensuality, and
Hmm.
put together, wowza, just
Boom.
wow, you know, like the best of both worlds. Allison says it was unhealthy. You're right. Consistent. Yes, you were right. He was all over the place. He couldn't commit. Yep. And energy says, yeah, opposition challenges create growth, and it can be beautiful growth. And Allison said, you nailed it, Journey, with the fast fallers.
Yeah.
Energy said, what a combo. LOL. Allison says, sex, death, and what was the third one? Taxes.
Taxes.
Taxes. Yep. And she said, I need to find me a Taurus, a healthy Taurus. Could
Yes.
really help you grow and become the best version of yourself, and vice versa. I think oppositions are beautiful things. It's like A lot of people say, like, I'm a Leo, and they say opposition Aquarius, it's a bad thing. Yet the Aquarians I have known have always challenged me to think harder, to think in a different way, to see things from a different perspective that
Yeah,
have made me grown. I love Aquarius because of that. And yeah, it can be challenging because Aquarius is fixed too. But the growth potential that comes from that uh, is just phenomenal.
I have got a couple friends that are Scorpio and Taurus couples, and the stories I've heard with them, some of them you don't want to know, but yeah, it's just,
Yeah.
it's like, holy cow, I can see everything. Stop, I'm psychic. This is like a movie playing in my head.
You just branded that into the back of my eyes. Thanks, right?
Damn it. I will never look at Eggo waffles ever the same again.
And it's usually the Taurus telling the story, unless the poor Scorpio has that Sagittarius or Gemini in it. Wow. Aw, Cassidy says Aquarius loves you too. I love you, Cassidy. She knew who I was talking about. Allison says LOL. Yeah, Taurus to Scorpio energy. This wow, I could only even imagine the sex. Like I'm okay, let me stop.
Yeah, we're going right back to that damn
It's like,
picture.
I'm out of here. Let me go find my husband. And you brought up earlier, scorpions are not, absolutely not aquatic creatures. Scorpio could not chase Orion over the water, but I think it's because Orion was the son of Poseidon and the Pleiades were water creatures. So it's really, honestly, more a story about Orion and his hubris, his ego, and his mis missaying, well, no, he said it right. Somebody twisting that around to mean something
Mhm.
else. So Scorpio almost doesn't factor in except for the death of Orion. But all of Orion's characteristics are very water based. And Cassidy says, my brother is a Scorpio and his fiance is Taurus. They are a great couple. Well, I don't know how close you are to your brother, but you ought to tell him to explore the sexuality, sensuality thing.
Absolutely. You know, an odd, what people would find as an odd pair as a Scorpio with a Capricorn. But the thing about that is that Capricorn that doesn't like to dwell on emotions or hides from emotions, the Scorpio brings that out, which makes the
Yeah.
Capricorn or a healthier Capricorn and gives them some sensitivity that they wouldn't have without that Scorpio.
And then that cardinal Capricorn energy, Scorpio can get stuck in a rut because it
Mm-hmm.
likes consistency. A lot of times cardinal energy is really important for us fixed creatures to get us off of our asses and doing something. As you being a Cancer, it's
Mm-hmm.
like all you got to do is like squirrel. Okay, that's enough potato chips. Get up, let's go. you know.
We had a schedule together. You do one thing, I do one thing. Every day we would challenge each other to make sure that we were getting the things that we needed done in our lives complete, one task at a time, and we did it.
Oh, it was beautiful. And that would not have happened with the fixed creature without
Mm-hmm.
the cardinal force pushing it. You know what I mean? Because, yeah, man, I'll sit here all day just daydreaming if you let me. Allison says,
Allison,
go ahead.
she says, I do need help getting my ass to do stuff, laugh out loud. Always find somebody who's motivated. You're going to find out that if you got a healthy water sign now, water signs are really good about getting you to do stuff.
Yes.
Really good if they're
Yes.
in a very healthy place. They're always optimistic about everything. But if they're not healthy, then you're like, yeah, you
Yeah.
stay in your
Yes.
corner. Stay the hell over there.
Scorpio can be broody, but I think
Yeah.
any water sign can be broody. I've seen some moody Cancers and some even moodier Pisces.
Oh yeah.
But I think, if they're being treated properly, if they are being loved wholly, like
Hmm.
I would say maybe not Pisces, but Cancer and Scorpio are generally going to be monogamous creatures. They're very loyal unless there's like something like a Venus and Gemini in their chart. Not saying that Venus and Gemini can't be loyal, but if they didn't have something specific in their chart to make them want to sow their oats, that
Hmm.
and even with that Gemini Venus, they would probably sow their oats as young adults and then settle into monogamy. Pisces, I think they're about open to anything, but Scorpio and Cancer are very one-on-one. You
Yes.
are mine, I am yours type of
Hmm.
monogamy.
And everybody else, stay out of my lane.
Yeah, yeah. Don't even look at my man. I'll
Mhm.
beat you type of, yeah.
This is
That
true. These
Leos are
are
like that
facts.
too.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah.
But I would suggest to anybody to find that one person that gets you, your best friends. You guys put yourselves in that position. If you do your task, I'll do this one task. Figure out which task you guys both need to do, and then let the other one know, hey, I've started my task. How about you? Where are you at with it? Find out where they're at. And that way you can help motivate them so you guys can stay motivated.
Yeah, and have accountability to each other, because and that works for romantic interest too. You always want somebody that you can be best friends with that motivates you. And say Allison finds her Taurus, there might be some factors, other factors. There's like technically 10 planets or luminaries plus the
Mhm.
ascendant in a chart. Um, Traditional astrology does 7 in a natal chart. Um, but all of those factor in. She could find a Taurus that's an absolute nightmare for her because of the other factors in his chart. There's a thing called synastry where you can look at each other's charts side by side or intertwined together to see how you light each other up, how you challenge each other, so you can walk into that relationship working together instead of against each other. It's pretty cool. And Allison says, what does that mean when you say Venus in my chart or Aries in my chart? So charts are not just your sun sign. You've got 7 to 10 different planets, depending on what kind of astrologer you've got, because different astrologers use different tools. And you've got the 12 zodiac signs, and there's not a single chart. There's nobody here who could say, I don't have any Aries in my chart. Everybody's got Aries in their chart. It just depends on where the planets are and how they're placed in relation to other planets, how strong that Aries is or how weak that Aries is. But we all, every last one of us, have every sign in our chart. It's just stronger where planets are present. Does that make sense, Journey?
It does. It does. My brain just went in a million directions. Give me a second. But yeah, your birth chart
Yeah.
is not, you are not made of one sign. You are made of
Mm-mm.
multiple signs. And each one of these signs, in which, depending on what planet it's in, gives you different personality traits. That's why you won't find one Scorpio. They have similarities, but they're not the same. So you can't say all Scorpios are like
We
this,
are all
all Cancer.
extremely complicated, contradictory,
Yes.
beautiful creatures, but we all have contradictions in and of ourselves. It's like, and each chart is individual. You will never see 2 charts alike, not even for twins. And
Allison says, how
Allison
do I
says, how
find
do
out
I
when
find?
it's...
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
How Oops. Okay, how much time did I lose? I froze.
Yeah, I saw that.
Okay.
It says, how do I find out what signs are for Scorpio? Well, you would need to get a natal chart done, and you can get those natal charts done at mypsychicconnection.com. Go to Skwirl, and she will be more than happy to sit down with you and go over these signs with you. And
Yeah.
now we do have it where you can get on here, and we will have a donation for that as well as anybody that wants to get their natal charts done. The thing about that is it does take longer than the show it does air. So you would only be able to get a small portion of your chart done, meaning you would only be able to get the first 4 planets. So
Yeah. Yeah.
after that, you would have to go over to mypsychicconnection.com and get your sign, get your natal chart completed. And Skwirl is all for that and waiting to see you guys' beautiful faces over there. So make sure you guys send her a message right there on mypsychicconnection.com. Those messages will go directly to her, and that way she can respond to you and let you know what she needs from you and how we can get this set up for you.
And it's really cool because every last one of us, we know who we are, we know what we want, we know what we do, and then there's certain situations or certain triggers that we do something completely out of character more than once. It's something that's, repetitive, and we're like, why the hell did I do that? And it's all there. And then there's things that we hate about ourselves, all of us. But when you can find out how to use what you hate about yourself as a strength, as a way to move forward, it's like, oh, there's so much information in there. It's like who we're supposed to be happiest. It's not who we're going to be. It's how we can be happy as individuals. My sense of fun is not going to be the same as your sense of fun. My sense of a good job. It's like, think of those poor Pisces out there who are constantly told you need a 9 to 5 job, you need stability, you need to do things just like this, like everybody. And that Pisces is miserable, trying to conform to a world that has nothing to do with him. That Pisces has got to learn to be a Pisces and have a life that fits the Pisces. I don't know how society came to this is the rules and you got to work this kind of job and you're only successful if you do this. It's all bullshit because whoever said that and whoever let it catch on was one particular type of person, and it does not cover all of us.
Right.
Energy says, Squirrel did my chart, and she was amazing how she explains it all in a way that is easy to understand. Thank you, Energy. Allison says, this stuff really fascinates and intrigues me. It's whole worlds open. Like, ugh. Okay, I'm okay. I'm okay.
Yes. And here on this show, we're going to be doing a lot of the astrology breakdown. We're going to be talking about our transits that are going to be happening in the week ahead and giving you guys an idea what to prepare yourself for. And, talking about certain houses, when we start talking about Venus and Scorpio and it's doing this, this, and this, what is your Venus in and how is your Venus going to react to
Yes.
this house in Scorpio? We're going to break it all down for you guys. That's why we brought this show to life, so we could have some great fun and also explore a side of astrology that a lot of people don't realize exists.
Yeah, very much so. And hopefully speak it in terms that everybody can understand, or if we use astrological terms, which is all Greek to me. I love saying that. I don't know why. It is all Greek. If we use an astrological term, we explain it to you in a way that it makes sense. It's like, what the hell is a sextile, right?
I always say the planets are having sex with each other.
Yeah. So, oh, wow. Yeah.
Houses. Yeah, there are different houses. See, there's a lot to unravel here to give you guys a better understanding of how certain things are. The sun is not the only thing that affects us. Mercury affects us, Mars affects us, Venus affects us, different, the moon affects us.
the houses, what signs our planets are in, what houses affected. There are so many moving parts, and it's so cool because when you start to learn it, when you start to understand it, when you see your own chart, but if you're actually learning astrology, it's like you can see all the gears in the universe and how they work, and you can almost touch them and understand everything. And I sound like a mad scientist, but it's exciting.
And it is so much to learn. Allison says it's so much to learn. But once you do learn it, it becomes an amazing tool. And I'm going to put this out there for people who need to hear it or want to hear it, is that every single one of your millionaires and billionaires follow astrology to a T. They do not go against what astrology is telling them to do. If they see that there are certain things happening, they will not do certain things until that has passed. You will not see a millionaire or a billionaire sign a contract during a retrograde, not a
Oh,
Mercury
yep.
one.
Not and not a I'm trying to think Neptune one either.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Not only millionaires, a lot of politicians.
Yeah, politicians, our
Politicians.
governments follow those same logics. It's funny how to watch when we go to pass bills in the House or in other places around the world. They will not write new contracts in those time frames because they won't pass. They know they won't pass.
They won't. And they'll even take breaks around moon movements and things
Mm-hmm.
like that, planetary movements. I'm this almost makes me wonder if the media has painted psychics in such a bad light and astrologers
Mm-hmm.
um in such a bad light so they could keep that great secret to themselves, you know? Because power doesn't want to share.
No, it doesn't.
Energy says, I love astrology as it shows our strengths as well as our challenges without taking away our free will. Yes.
Correct.
Yes. It gives you more power over your free will when you know what can, because how many of us actually know what makes us happy? How many of us actually know what we want to be when we grow up, even when we're in our 30s and our 40s? How
Right.
many of us really know that?
And knowing my chart, it was funny because I was doing exactly what my chart said I was supposed to be doing.
Yeah, yeah, that's cool when you see somebody who's already naturally following their chart. And that's usually a happy person. It's like, and it's not that my I think I said this last week or the week before is my astrology teacher said something that I love, and it was these charts are like the blueprints to our lives. They're the destiny. But destiny is not ever a guarantee. It is an opportunity.
Yes.
So we
Choose
miss a
wisely.
lot of opportunities because we don't have the information.
Well, Squirrel, we are down to just the last minute here. So I want to tell everybody thank you so much for being a part of the show, guys. This has been great. And the story you tell just is just amazing. And
I, lo-
we've
I
only
love
got
telling
two
stories.
left. You have gone through almost the entire zodiac. There's only two left.
I
Two left.
know. I'm s- I'm excited, but I'm like, oh, I love telling the stories.
Don't worry, we've got plenty of mythology out there in case other people would like to learn some other things that I would love to tell with you as well, because I know lots. I know stories from all cultures all over the world, the mythology
Ooh.
stories of all these different cultures, which do play a part into our astrology as well.
Oh,
But you
yes.
and I will have to sit down together and talk that through.
Ooh, that'll be fun. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
All right, guys, this has been absolutely beautiful. Squirrel, thank you so much for being here and giving us these beautiful stories. The work the energy, the way you tell the story, absolutely amazing.
Thank you. Thank
You've
you.
been
I do love
wonderful,
telling.
guys. You've been an amazing audience. Guys, don't forget to check out tomorrow, 6 p.m. We got Destiny K, Divine Love and Light, followed by Cassidy the Card Slinger at 10 p.m. Eastern. Guys, make sure you're checking out those shows, sharing us out, subscribing to our YouTube channel. Guys, it's been a pleasure. From everyone here at My Psychic Connection, we want to say thank you so much, and we will see you guys again tomorrow.